might know Mark Zuckerberg for different things depending on who you are. Could be that he was the founder of the biggest social media platform ever, and that platform is now full of AI garbage that old people confuse for real life. Could be that he's the owner of Instagram, now dedicated as Gooner Central next to Twitter. But what a lot of people know him for is being a complete non-human being.
Nice. What else is coming? Oh, I love Beat Saber. Lay it on us.
You know, one of the crazy things when you do these live Q&As is some of them are very silly. So we got one. Mark, are the allegations true that you are secretly a lizard? I'm gonna have to go with no on that.
What human being has to confirm to the public that they're not a lizard? Mark Zuckerberg has been fighting the lizard allegations for the past decade and some change. I don't remember a moment online where they weren't making fun of this man for his movements. It's like every time he talked in an interview, show, or any video, he had to try and compute how a human actually talks. The funniest video to me is when he's in the Congress hearing and tries to drink water, but a single droplet doesn't enter his lips. It could just be his nerves in these videos and interviews. Like, don't forget, he was a dude that sat down all day coding in a dark room, not interacting with anybody, to becoming one of the richest young people at the time. But as of the last 2 years or so, and especially this last year, he's been going through the most insane rebranding I've ever seen. Like, we're talking levels of Japan redesigning its flag in 1999. That's a huge change. I think we could really track this change back to 2021/2022. Back at that time, Mark Zuckerberg said himself he was really getting into MMA. And it wasn't cap or anything. You could literally see videos of him running through different techniques. He was posted up with UFC fighters and training with them. And he was also getting into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu too. You gotta be a different type of to get into Jiu-Jitsu. I actually gained respect for him after learning that. At least with MMA, you can strike back with your hands. Jiu-Jitsu is mostly getting held down and put in submission holds. I'm sorry, if you hold me down long enough and don't get off, I'm turning into King Von. He was also being spotted in UFC rings, just hanging out with the fighters. There was even a moment in 2023, by now that's ancient times, where him and Elon Musk were supposed to get into the arena and fight. I knew this was never going to happen. This would have made sense until you realize that Mark Zuckerberg is an athlete that actually trains and looks like this, and Elon Musk looks like this. He looks like he absorbed his old self. Yeah, Elon would have had to have found a new CEO for Tesla if this fight went on. Would have got the brake lights beat the out of him. But over time, after really getting into this stuff, Mark Zuckerberg has slowly been hitting his evolution stages. And he went from looking like ChatGPT's newest AI robot invention 2 to 3 years ago, to looking like a college frat boy who should have graduated 10 years ago but still wants to party with the college girls. This is truly proof a stylist can change your whole image. I didn't even know his hair could be in any other form other than default mode. He's even been mentioning he's trying to get into the fashion realm. A will put on some baggy once and swear they're the next Kanye.
I know that you're getting more into your fashion as well, right?
Yeah, well, I kind of feel like if I'm gonna be designing glasses, and now with the neural interface, we're gonna be doing stuff on your wrist too. I feel like we gotta be good at this, right?
Yeah.
So, started working with a bunch of designers who I admire to make shirts. I mean, I designed this one. I've been playing around with the idea of whether I should sell these on my Instagram page as like limited drops.
I think you should.
I think it would be maybe good for me to kind of get some first-hand experience selling things through Instagram. Part of the best way to learn and make your products better is by experiencing how other people do this stuff. I've gotten a lot of comments today that people are like, hey, I would buy that shirt.
If I start seeing people walking around with the Mark Zuckerberg designer shirt, I'm gonna think we're in end times. This is such a weird pivot to me and a lot of people looking at this, because usually these changes happen when you're going through your 20s and stuff, trying to find your style and what works best for you. But this man through his 20s and 30s was an AI robot who didn't look human. Alright. Of course this isn't the main reason why I'm making this video. He's been going viral recently for completely flipping his views on things on his platform. I think the first instance of him starting to change his views to people was when Trump got shot, and he said the way he handled it was quote unquote badass.
I mean, on a personal note, it's, seeing Donald Trump get up after getting shot in the face and pump his fist in the air with the American flag is one of the most badass things I've ever seen in my life. But
now some people put it as him just saying his views on it. I mean, a lot of people who don't even like him for real, think the image goes hard. But just recently, he also announced that he's changing a bunch of policies on his platforms. And this isn't small stuff, like we're talking about changing the whole platform completely.
We're gonna get rid of fact checkers and replace them with community notes, similar to X, starting in the US. After Trump first got elected in 2016, the the legacy media wrote non-stop about how misinformation was a threat to democracy. We tried in good faith to address those concerns without becoming the arbiters of truth. But the fact-checkers have just been too politically biased and have destroyed more trust than they've created, especially in the US.
I do think that community notes is the one decent thing that Elon Musk added to Twitter. Sad that it got added and we got a bunch of spam and corn bots with it, but you know what, at this point, we take the ones where we can with that app. From what I've seen, the community notes can also be biased too and also spread lies. So I feel like we'll never reach a perfect solution with that. No matter what online, you're always gonna have misinformation and disinformation. People's biases are always gonna come out. I do think it is a better solution than having companies control what's facts and what's not, because at least you can see different people's points of views rather than one side. And now people are saying he's trying to pull a Elon Musk type switch, you know, with him meat riding Trump. And not to make it political, but it kind of is, taking the whole anti-woke approach to his platform, kind of like Elon did with Twitter. It's funny to me when people are shocked people like Elon and Mark Zuckerberg change their views so quickly. At the end of the day, I hope y'all know these rich people do not actually give a about what you care about. They saw Trump coming into office and immediately went, oh, yeah, man, did I ever mention I actually love your work? I think you did an amazing job as president. Please don't tax this shit on my company. That's what I at least think. Maybe in the future they actually stick with these changes and don't budge on it. But even people like Jeff Bezos and the TikTok CEO are meeting with him. No matter what, they know they're gonna have to bend the knee to it. It's not really the best idea to have beef with the president of the United States. We'll truly never know their honest feelings, but even if they don't like him, they'll sure as hell act like they do. He also said he wants to promote more free speech on his platform, kind of like Twitter.
As we work to promote free expression, I think that it will help us build trust to do this work in places where there is less concern about the bias of our team.
It's so funny that this is all happening to me, because exactly 4 years ago, they banned this man for the Capitol riot on all his platforms. And now, just like that, they're all buddy-buddy again. Trump even mentioned himself that it's odd.
Jeff Bezos came, Bill Gates came, Mark Zuckerberg came. Many of them came numerous times. The bankers have all come. Everybody's coming.
Hey, yo, what the fuck? And now just recently, Mark Zuckerberg went on the Joe Rogan podcast, usually seen as one of the more masculine-esque type of podcasts. And he was kind of on Joe Biden and his whole government administration.
These people from the Biden administration would call up our team and like scream at them and curse, and it's like these documents it's all kind of out there.
Did you record any of those phone calls?
I don't think we but I think
now I got a hard time believing this because, Mark, I know you're not stupid, bro. The first thing I think anybody would do if the government is supposedly calling you and threatening you with things is start recording things as evidence. Like, I call it how it is. That just sounds stupid to me. But I think you can really trace where he started to change his perspective on things, because he mentioned on the podcast that he grew up in a mostly women environment with 3 sisters and 3 daughters and never had a masculine type friendship until he started hanging out with UFC fighters.
I don't know, all these forms of energy are good, and I think having a culture that like celebrates the aggression a bit more has its own merits that are really positive. And that has been a kind of a positive experience for me. Just like having a thing that I can just like do with my guy friends and like, and it's just like, we're just like beat each other a bit. I don't know, it's good.
It is good. I agree.
I don't know. There are like a few of these things throughout your life where you have an experience and you're like, where has this been my whole life? And it just like, it just turned on like a part of my brain that I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Like this was a piece of the puzzle that should have been there. And I'm glad it now is.
So as soon as he experienced it for the first time, it's like his whole life changed. He realized that he no longer wanted to be that nerdy looking computer guy. Which is why I always think it's important you learn these things when you're younger. You know, I'm lucky enough to have experienced both type of energies in my household. My dad will put me and my brother to work around the house like we were some free laborers, making us help him build sheds and and my mom would be keeping track of me and my brother's grades like the Squid Game girl. If you don't learn these traits until you're older though, it can completely throw you off. Which is why I've never been a fan of some people, and by people I mean people mainly on Twitter so they don't exist in real life, just on masculinity just because. That's why people like Andrew Tate and Myron Gaines made it come up. I will say I do see it much less than before, but at the end of the day, every human being has masculine and feminine traits to them, so it doesn't make any sense to on one for me. Back to the topic though, it's safe to say online that people are not buying his rebranding one bit. A lot of people are saying the only reason he's doing this is because Trump won the election and he don't want no beef with him. It is a funny coincidence though, as soon as he wins, he's like Elon Musk 2.0 now and is the George Washington of social media. I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case because this timing is way too convenient. Like, you telling me out of all the time this was going on, you make these changes a week before he takes over again? But he could also actually be changing his mind. The gym does people different, not just for your body. A lot of people change their lifestyles and the way they approach things after being on it. If Kamala Harris did win the election though, I have a high doubt that he would change anything. He'd probably still be sipping imaginary water out of a cup. So let me know what y'all think about this whole Mark Zuckerberg rebranding. Y'all f***ing with the new Zuck or the old one? At minimum, we can at least say he's putting that on now. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok while it's still here. As always, I love you guys consensually. And until next time, I'm out.